up next, we have the session that I know many of you have been looking forward to. As you already know, the number of crypto users is growing steadily. But what will it take to reach billions? What kind of app could be the gateway for mainstream adoption? This session, please welcome Anne from IVC, Melody from Spartan, Roland from Mechanisms, come with the topics of next killer app in onboarding billions to crypto, and Sandra will be the moderator in these sessions.
Hello, everyone. Very excited to be here today to talk about consumer applications and sort of finding the next killer app in crypto. So I wanted to take some time to introduce my panelists for today. We have Anne from IVC, we have Melody, the co-founder of Spartan Group, and we have Roland from Mechanism Capital. Maybe we'll take a bit of time to do some brief introductions. We'll start with Roland.
Hey guys, thank you for having me here. My name is Roland. I'm on the investment team at Mechanism Capital. Mechanism is what I like to say, a crypto native fund created by natives for natives. It was founded in 2020. And initially, our investment case was around DeFi, and we started getting popular while publishing our investment thesis online on our website. The first one was on Yearn Finance. And then, as DeFi was increasingly less investable due to regulation, compliance, lack of value accrual, we invested agnostically the last 4 years across all verticals, ranging from, of course, DeFi, infra, gaming, AI, consumer, and we have more than 120 different portcos. And maybe a fun fact for the 5 of you people here, the name Mechanism comes from token mechanisms and go-to-market mechanisms. So that's what we like to focus on, and that's the biggest value add that we want to offer our portcos, among other things.
Hi, I'm Melody. I'm one of the co-founders of Spartan Group. We founded the company in 2017. Very focused on investing in Web3 and crypto native companies. We have 3 different units. We do investment, we do advisory, which focuses on later stage projects, and also M&As. So we investment, asset management, investment banking. We also have a venture builder, which focus on AI applications. We have about 500 million AUM, and we invest across consumer applications and also infra. Thanks for having me.
Hi everyone, this is Anne from IVC. IVC is a Web3 VC from Japan, and we also have a sister fund called Headline Capital. Has been around for almost like 10 years. Web2 arm, total AUM is about $3 to $4 billion. As for Web3 IVC, our fund one is about 85 millions. And for the past 3 years that we roll out the Web3 arms, we have been invested in over 200 projects, specifically on the more application layers, especially on the gaming entertainment space. And every year we hosted also the largest conference in Web3 conference in Japan that bring about over 13,000 people to the city of Kyoto this year. So we are trying to help the projects and also the crypto community probably building up in Japan market.
Very cool. Thank you guys for the introductions. I wanted to maybe start with a question on the evolution of the consumer apps, right? Because you guys are very deep and technical into the VC landscape. You've seen a lot of maybe deals in the private markets, and also maybe you've also tested a lot of applications yourself. Maybe we can start with how you've seen the changes in the consumer AI apps, not just AI, but in general. Maybe we'll start with Roland.
Sure. I think that when you look back, the industry has evolved, and the needs of the industry evolved. I mean, in my opinion, Bitcoin initially was an experiment. Then it was a great asset to buy drugs with. Then it was a great asset to offload your poker winnings. And then slowly but surely, it became what it is today, a store of wealth. And it's the same way the consumer has grown. Up until 2015, there was no consumer because there was no smart contracts, at least none that were even remotely adopted. Then Ethereum came and allowed things to be easier on chain. And what I think that we've done up until now is that we have perfected the whole financialization aspect of consumer, lending, swapping, yield, more yield. And we've kind of reached capacity in that regard. And I think that now we want to make things fun on chain. There was a great gaming panel before. I think that even if gaming hasn't really taken off in crypto so far, I think it has the potential to do so and just needs a breakthrough moment. I think that there's protocols nowadays, let's say Moonshot, Pump Fun, that don't feel like crypto. So I think that what is happening from now, like maybe it's an inflection point, that up until now we focused on the financialization aspect, and from now on we'll actually focus on making things consumer, like actual fun. When you look at like Web 2 and startups in general, most startups solve a desire of the user, and they want to make things easier, they want to make things fun, whatever that desire is. And I think that crypto will go slowly but surely to that. And the successful consumer apps that we see nowadays are in that direction of being less crypto, more fun, more appealing to a desire. It can be fun, it can be making things easier, it can be making, I don't know, whatever it is, but it has to make sense from even a Web 2 perspective, in my opinion, yeah. I can talk about AI later.
Yeah, I think a lot of the apps that we've seen so far has been very consumer focused, and obviously a lot of people just love using these apps. You know, a lot of the retails that I've spoken to are using things like Moonshot, right? So I think we've definitely seen a bit of the evolution from the financialization aspect to more of the usability aspect. Melody, I just wanted to maybe pick your brains on, have you seen any innovative consumer applications recently?
Yeah, I think I was just thinking that I think they're probably categorized into two. Like one is the DeFi stuff, like the very consumer facing. Another one is more crypto behind the scene, making consumer application, solving some of the consumer applications that are faced by developers. You know, feel the industry so saturated and completely monopolized by the distribution channels and the big players. And the earlier days, I think, is always about the mechanism and the design of using token to bypass business models like you know, Google or Apple charging a massive fee. So in terms of really using native crypto technology to change the experience of the consumer apps, I think other than some of the prediction market and then the meme coin kind of trading, like I don't think there has been very successful experiment. I think Axie is, I think probably CryptoKitties, probably Axie are some of the more interesting, exciting new use cases from the last cycle. I think one of the biggest question I constantly hear, especially from consumer Web2 investors, is they felt like there hasn't been new, really eye-opening consumer experience that crypto has unlocked. So I think it's more, it's really, if you look at it, it's really somehow like the economic design can bootstrap the marketplace, can increase the monetization, but does that make consumer experience better? Like, I don't think I've seen anything because of crypto. It's more, it's faster, it's more fun, or the play is more, I don't know, exhilarating. Less of that. I think it's more like, you know, on the business model wise, like whether we can improve that. So, yeah, less of that, but I think there's a lot of experiment pushing developers, how they think about growing their companies, right? How they fund it and how they distribute rewards to creators. But I don't think I've seen recent new consumer-grade examples other than the prediction market. And then, but, you know, that's a good one, I guess.
Yeah, I think that we haven't really seen like much of the innovative like consumer apps. Yeah, because like even in the Web 2, like you see like the consumer apps that's really onboarding like a billion of like users. it still like needs like taking some time, or at least like solving some of the like problems that users are facing, or you are actually creating the actual value instead of like a lot of like consumer apps or a lot of like application in the crypto space. It's pretty much the users is trying to extract the values, which is being specifically it's on the monetization or incentivization part. And but if you are really like solving much of the issues like on the daily life, unlike like what like such as like Google's or like Gmail, Facebook, were actually onboarding on the first day, at least there was actually a fundamental like core values and also a new value of like proposition that these apps are actually offering. But as like for the crypto side, most of the consumer apps, it's more for like speculations or like people gather just like for fun, but it's not necessarily existing like in a way that it has to be existing in everyone's like daily life. Yeah. So I think that like for crypto, if it really need to like onboard like billions of like users, even like in the Web2 space, there are actually very, very few apps achieving that. So in order to solve that, I think in the crypto space is like, what kind of like problem are we really solving today? We have been like speaking about like the payment issues, like the cross-border like transactions, or yeah, like trying to build like your economy within like whichever like apps you're trying to use. But you have to be creating that fundamental value that people are using your app. It's because they love the product. They feel like it's solving some kind of like problem in their life and making their life easier, instead of like they are there for like token airdrops or like getting the incentive. Yeah.
If I just want to add to Melody's point, I think that crypto in itself is a great incentive mechanism. You can rent users essentially. They may come, they may stay 1 day, 1 month, depending on how much you pay them. But it's very hard to actually make them loyal over long enough periods. And in terms of new innovations, it's a bit, let's say, different than what we've seen. But we were investors, and I'm not trying to show my bags, but I just want to mention it because it's just unique. In Nectar AI, which is a AI companionship protocol, which essentially creates an AI girlfriend for you, and you get to chat with her, and it's all very surreal in my opinion. But like for example, this solves the problem of loneliness, and the Global Health Organization mentioned that loneliness is one of the global's catastrophe. People are getting lonelier and lonelier, and I spoke to the founder recently, a couple of days ago, and he mentioned that lots of people reached out to him, and they mentioned that they appreciate the app, that nobody actually listened to them before, and now they actually have someone to talk to all the time. And ironically, all these AI girlfriend apps, although they are NSFW and you can do anything you want, and you can chat about anything you want, most people just want companionship. They don't want anything else. At least
Is it crypto or is it AI?
crypto AI. So it's AILMM. And I think crypto is important in this case because it stores your data in a secure way. You wouldn't want your, I don't know.
So cryptography and AI.
Isn't cryptography?
That's not tokenized AI.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I think we've touched a lot on the limitations of the current sort of models that we've seen. I wanted to maybe touch on more of the positive aspects, right? When you talk about like the killer apps, what is your definition of an actual killer app that can actually onboard billions? Like, do you see it more on the sort of social fi side? Do you see it more on like the payment side? What are some like maybe predictions or emerging trends that you're seeing? And do you want to start?
I think that like payment is definitely one of the more like the concrete area that we actually, at least like from the day one, that like since like Ethereum or any kind of like the blockchain has been created, like payment has cross-border like payment has always been issue that need to be solved, and seems like valid to be solved like by blockchain. But of course, as the sector is actually getting bigger, so like the regulator actually trying to step in and also like enforcing on some of the regulation like set up there. So I think that like payments and also like RWAs are definitely the sectors that I think that's probably having like the potentials. And payment is probably the foundations for pretty much like any kind of consumer apps or like gamings or any kind of application, because crypto is serving for the way that whether you are like buying for like NFT or like any kind of like in-game assets or any kind of like consumer apps for any of the in-app like experience, everything has to be deal with like payments. And one of the probably something that's the in the traditional like the fiat, it's probably not done the first like the best job. It's because there are just like too many like middlemen and also like the agents that's trying to take a cut from the existing like cross-border like systems when you're trying to settle the transactions like between like different kind of apps. So if this can be done like internally like within like done by the crypto, it's much more efficient and also cost reductions. From the Japan market, we actually start seeing that a lot of like big corporates such as like the Sony groups or like SBI, they started introducing their own like stable coins in the way that, which we think that there's a possibility that this could be seen kind of adoption, because like across the Sony groups, you have like Sony Music, you have Sony Entertainment, Sony Music, like you have like the PlayStations. They have a lot of like different kind of like business like across the Sony groups, and a lot is actually multinational. So they actually station in different places, and by imagine that within like different kind of like business groups, sometimes you do have like the needs for like transaction cross borders. So if there is like a stable coin that's introduced within the same groups, and that could be facilitating for the internal like accounting like settlements, I think in a way that it does like solving lot of like the problem with like the cross-border transactions, and in terms of like the cost perspective, it's going to be like seeing like humongous cost reduction for such a like a big corporate like internal transactions. Yeah, so I think that payment is one space, and RWA it's definitely another one. Yeah, because it's like fundamentally it's still like associated with like payments like yields, and it is a more stabilized yield instead of like what we are seeing like in the DeFi space here, that like most of the DeFi token are actually designed as a dump token. So as a being an LP, like I think that across like for the past like 3 years, if you're really being a liquidity providers, a lot of times when you're actually providing the liquidity, at the end of the day, even though you are seeing the APY of like 200, 300%, but you are still losing the money, even because like once you receive the yield token, you'll be dumping like immediately, and that will be causing like the pool. It's actually like being an LP, sometimes it's hard to make money unless like we are in the better condition, like the bull market. DeFi model is probably going to be working better, and then or they're having like some more innovative, like such as like introducing your own like protocol like stablecoin backing up by several other coins that will probably providing a more yields and also stabilized yields. But if we are like trying to loop in this like RWA to the real world assets and also like the real world like yields, that seems back up like a more legit and also like regulated entity. Then I think that the combinations between like RWA and also like DeFi would also help the industry like to grow like a longer and also more sustainable.
Yeah, I think we've talked a lot about payments and sort of the financialization aspect. I wanted to talk more about maybe the speculation aspect of these consumer AI apps. You know, I think we've seen that speculation has been one of the biggest drivers for these consumer apps. Do you see this trend sort of emerging over time, or do you think that speculation will continue to be, you know, the biggest driver just because of how crypto native these users are? And, you know, this is, I guess, one of the biggest backbones of crypto users, right? They love speculation. Roland, do you want to start?
Yeah, yeah, a bit of speculation is good for everyone. But I mean, the core theme of the panel is 1 billion users. So will the crypto natives stop speculating? No, they will never stop speculating. This is who they are. And I think speculation has been a positive for crypto in the long term, because you onboard people that way, and then people learn, oh, okay, now I have stable coins. Now I can use stable coins to do something else. I can do a lending. I can join a lending protocol. I can, I don't know, buy some flight tickets with my stable coins. So I think that speculation is something that will only grow over time as inflation will continue throughout the world, as essentially people laugh about meme coins and whatnot, but they are the fastest way for you to make the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time if you're smart. You don't need anyone to help you. You just need a Twitter account, some internet connection, and like a phone. There's no barriers of entry. Any single other industry that you want to make money in, from 1,000 to a million in 6 months, it's absolutely impossible. So meme coins are good, and they onboard people to the space. Will they onboard 1 billion people? No. I just looked at some stats this morning, and they said that there's 4.2 billion people that gamble each year, and I think monthly around 1 billion. Don't quote me on this, but it should be about right. So I think like speculation and gambling is all about distribution channels, and crypto will never be able to compete with the giants of the world that are running gambling companies. So I don't think that gambling and speculation will onboard billions of people. I do think that lots of killer apps have come as a result of the whole growth of speculation. I think the number one is that is popular nowadays is Pump Fund. They made 180 mil in the last 6-7 months with just charging 1% fee. I mean, that's crazy. What will probably onboard billions of users? Maybe payments, and maybe even more than payments. You can build like a super app, such as Grab in Southeast Asia or WeChat in China. Maybe something like that could onboard billions of users. But yeah, that's what I think.
You also talked a lot about distribution channels, right? So I think currently we're seeing, a lot of these projects, they're promoting their projects on Twitter. And I think Twitter is like the main battleground for these projects to distribute to their users, right? Are you seeing any emerging trends, like for example, distribution on TikTok, distribution on Instagram? Do you think that, it's important to tap into these other distribution channels?
Yeah, I think it depends. Depends on what you're building. If you're building a crypto native protocol, probably TikTok is not going to help you very much. But if you really want to onboard people that are retail and are new to crypto, there's lots. I mean, it's in the bull market. People promote everywhere. They promote on TikTok. They promote on Instagram. The conversion is probably a lot lower than on Twitter, but I've actually had a chat with someone the other week with one of the most interesting distribution channels out there, and they want to do essentially create a network of distribution channels for payments, which through referrals, they will have individuals in Pakistan, this was the case, where they will actually go to every single shop, or they call it agent, but it's not an AI agent, it's actually an actual sales agent. And people will be able to go to shop and integrate a payments app, and like that they'll get referrals, and referrals can be in the hundreds of dollars, which is significant amount of money per month, especially in that area of the world. So I think that the more unique you are with a distribution channel, the better you will be. Like everyone can like get KOLs on Twitter, everyone can get a point system set up, but if you can really do something exotic, people like that, and you have a chance of differentiating yourself.
Yep. I think another important point to touch on is like apps versus infrastructure, right? And I think I've seen this tweet recently where someone was like, "Oh, VCs are only, funding infrastructure projects, and not so much on the consumer application side." So I think Melody, you've seen a lot on both sides, right? You've seen a lot of infrastructure projects. You've also invested in a lot of consumer projects. How do you split between these two areas? Like, do you focus more on infrastructure? Do you focus more on applications, depending on the time of the market? Yeah.
Yeah, I think, initially is the infrastructure projects that it's easier to understand, right? They are easily to see successes because people made a lot of money from that. I do think on the application side, some of the really big ones, Devcon changed people's mind, and Axie is another one, Sandbox did really well in early days. But the sustainability of one application, the value accrue to one user experience hasn't proven to be able to sustain the crypto market's price. And the ecosystems around these applications are not as deep as some of the infrastructure. So there is a strong argument, what is the upward cap of these applications valuation, right? Because if you're a VC, you want to go like 20x, 30x, 100x. If you're looking at the valuation, and if these applications are very expensive, then you don't know what the upside is, and because there's very few precedents, then mathematically, it definitely put the applications in a less advantage compared to infrastructure. We're definitely moving into investing in more applications. We have a gaming consumer dedicated fund, and so we spend a lot of time looking at games, and they're definitely much cheaper, right, than infra, but the success rate and then the potential upside could also be might not be as good as infra, which is why like most VCs do infra. Yeah, that's probably what we're looking at. But hopefully, in the next few years, we can do a lot more application investments, because I think the infra is just really overcrowded, and we really don't need that many similar technology chains. And I also think these ecosystem is going to start to spend a lot of money trying to subsidize applications. So, there could be developers that can get a lot of grants to bootstrap their development and help them to really get more users, and through like these super well-funded foundations. So hopefully that will really bootstrap the next wave of applications. Yeah.
Yep. Another thing I wanted to pick your guys' head on is sort of Solana, right? Because Solana is sort of associated with a lot of these consumer applications, at least more recently. We've seen like Pump.Fun, it's sort of Solana native, and a lot of the other sort of applications that I've been seeing is also very much on the Solana chain. Do you think that a chain is like very important to, I guess, host these applications, or is it more of like account abstraction and chain abstraction that we're seeing more of these days?
Sorry, what do you mean? That whether the chain is important,
Yeah.
or the account abstraction is more important?
Yeah, so like,
for consumer applications.
Exactly. Yeah.
In terms of the technology.
Yeah, technology, or just like, do you think that a chain is? Do you think that like people will focus more on the chain or like the application itself?
Right. Yeah. For me, like Solana is a bit of a community and distribution value add, right? For developers, a lot of them are just like, well, I can get the users. I think any random stuff on Solana, there will be more users who want to try it than all the others. So, huge value add, yeah.
Probably whatever you launch on Solana, you'll have a lot more, especially people want to try it, people that want to buy it, than on any other chain. And then there's great chains out there, but I don't think the technology and the whole education and the apps are at a point where we can actually benefit from account abstraction and chain abstraction. And now, like, if you have a benefit of launching on chain A versus chain B, why would you even need chain abstraction when you want that chain? You want to belong part of the community and benefit from the network effects of the community.
I think these days, when project are actually asking our recommendation, like which chain to go to, I think that like technology is usually not the priority that any of like the project actually care about. And I think that for like we have been like seeing a lot of like chain build out for the past like 2 or 3 years. I think that one key thing is like differentiating. It's like each chain is actually getting more specifically toward a certain kind of like narrative, such as like I think Solana that's generally like positioned as a more like crypto native, like a degen. Chien was more like a consumer facing app, and also like such as like it used to be like Immutable, Roland. They used to be like more gaming. Now Near is like actually more AI, and like Avalanche could be like gamings or institutions. Was there like the subnet structure? So I think it's also about like the community behind all these chains, who like your users are. If you're like a gaming project, you're probably looking for like a chain that will be helping you to get these like communities. And so I think that it is about like the chain. They have been like positioned themselves in a certain kind of like directions, and also the culture they are trying to build here that accruing that kind of like the community joining the space. Because if you're seeing like the such as the Solana's like community, it's actually quite different than somehow like a bit different than like Ethereum's like communities, or like each of the community, they have somehow their own like characteristics, including like the projects siding with like these communities. So I think these days like technology is probably not the key focus here, but it's more about like the distribution communities, like if it's the right group of like users you're trying to onboard with.
Yeah, I think I wanted to also spend quite a bit of time talking about AI and how sort of the proliferation of AI has affected these consumer apps, right? Are we seeing more people create apps because AI is here? What trends have you seen since AI has become this really big force in crypto?
I think like the fundamentally first is like AI is a very centralized solution as technology, and like blockchain it's a very decentralization like technology. So we are still trying to like experience to see the combination usage between the two. I think that for the past like 1 to 2 years, we did quite a few like decentralized like computing like marketplace. We did Aether like almost like 2 years ago. Yeah, so I think that like for experimenting like the not probably not just like for the algorithm and also the probably the AI modeling itself, but any kind of like value add to help like the AI model to come up with a better algorithm, and also the models could probably assist. And that somehow would probably still see a certain kind of like decentralization, such as like decentralization, you probably see like user help you to verify on the data, picking up which data is actually more suitable to be like included for training your models, and and then you use the crypto to incentivizing these kind of like people. So I think this kind of model could be like sustaining for long term. Or we've been exploring into like the space such as decentralized like AI inference, who can actually providing like the inference and also the tracker. It could be also like a solution helping like the AI to build a better model, and then like removing less frictions on onboarding like less important like data while you are actually training your model. So I think that part is actually making sense for us. Yeah, just like the side value add to create your like AI modeling is something that we see could be done like by like blockchain or this like decentralization like community.
I think for me is like I've bitten the AI bug for sure. I'm like talking about AI every day. I feel like you either need to be on the AI side or on the other side. I think AI is going to abstract a lot of our interface with software. I think crypto is all about software. I think we need to every day think about we are AI, if you're AI, if AI is a person, what does he choose or what does she choose? If I'm AI, I'm going to choose at least diversify my risk on centralized infrastructure, right? If I'm AI one day, I was given tokens I can spend, money I can spend. The first thing I'm going to do is going to replicate myself in the entire decentralized stack. So human or countries cannot shut me down, right? Google Cloud or AWS cannot shut me down. I can sign my own contract, right? I can buy whatever Ether tokens. I can buy data tokens, the coordination layer tokens, and I can ensure that my entire life, right, is can live and thrive on a decentralized infrastructure stack. So I think AI. I actually think AI is the killer app for crypto. I think everything we have been doing is to been building the pipes for autonomous software. So I'm really, really excited about the intersection of AI and crypto. And I think when it comes to who's going to use a lot of the technology that we build today on chain, I think AI is way better than human in choosing what they want to use, because they are not biased, right? They're like, whatever product's good, I'll use it. They don't have this like laziness of, oh, I already used this product, I don't want to use another one. They're easily, like they can learn in a seconds, and then we are too lazy to learn. So they're going to abstract all the complexity away, and we're going to be the facing AIs. So
I think that we've built out most of the products that we had to build for humans. There was a saying before that if you want to be a billionaire, create a product or a service that helps a billion people. I think that's a bit over, and I think that now we're going to have trillions of AI agents. So if you really want to succeed as a founder, as an investor in the next decade or more, you have to build for the AI economy, which will be its own economy, which we've seen very interesting experiments on chain, on Twitter, but at the moment on the consumer side, AIs are mostly LLMs. We've seen the launch of Goat, the first one, Act, and all these other LLMs, and lots of people have been interacting with them on Twitter. At the moment, they don't really do much other than shitpost, which, I mean, it's fun. But later on, all these AIs will want to have a crypto wallet because they can't have a bank account, because up until, I mean, I think getting banks to accept AIs as customers will, I don't know, take like 50 years or something. So they want to have a crypto account, they want to interact, they want to transact, they want to pay other AIs, they pay for services they need, they want to subscribe to newsletters, I don't know. But crypto, as Melody said, makes a lot of sense when speaking about AI and its growth. And I think that these AI agents that we've seen on chain and on Twitter are just the first iteration, and they may even be able to self-develop themselves without the interaction of their developers or founders.
Yeah, I think currently at its current scale, like AI agents are only as smart as the data you put in, right? So I think we're still not at a very autonomous stage for these agents to be able to transact autonomously and to be able to actually come up with their own actions and like execute, right?
I think we're there. I'm
think?
sure we're there. I think, I mean, if you look at
yeah.
the computer use, right? If you think about right now, the Anthropic API is pulling all the services, and you know, you just need to give them a wallet and they can pay. If all the other APIs are also agent, right? It's just like a proxy agent, just as a proxy to API, and you can easily just start charging between all these APIs. And you know, I don't see. I mean, if it's not next month, it's going to be, you know, this maybe next year.
Yeah, I agree on that. But I think like humans take time to, I guess, adapt to different trends. So for example,
We're not adapting; they're doing it themselves.
yeah, but I guess like humans, like I can see like a lot of people, even in CT, they are shying away from the idea of AI, right? Because they're scared that it's going to overtake humans. And obviously, I'm on the other side of the spectrum because I talk a lot about consumer AI. But what does it take for people to really believe in the idea that like agents are the future, like AI is sort of here, and you know, is there anything that you guys can add to that?
I don't think they have to believe. I think it's inevitable. I mean, it's just they have to accept. When credit cards was first launched, nobody wanted to put their money on a credit card. When email was first launched, nobody wanted to use email. Did you have to believe in email to now use email? No, but you just have to accept it, that it's happening, and it's either happening with you or without you, but one day you'll definitely have to use it. And it's better to embrace it early on and be able to, especially in this unique industry, you can take advantage of the growth, and you can say, okay, this is a trend, what do I do in order to make the most of it? And you just have to accept it. It's going to happen either way, as Melody said, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we're running a little out of time, but I wanted to maybe end the panel with a spicy question. Maybe each of you guys can give me one spicy take for where you think consumer applications will go in the next year.
I think that like for crypto, at least we'll probably still see probably a year or two. That's most of the crypto that takes off is still speculative, like tokens. It's still like very hard to see the actual like crypto token utility inside. It was finding a very sustainable like business model within any kind of like application. So a lot of like crypto projects, they, even though they are, I think that it is 100% necessary still like building all your products, and then like that product is supposed to be helping like the whole society to get to a better place. But at the same time, because like you are initially looking for funding from like VCs or like even from the community, so you needed to create this kind of like a marketing hype speculation about like the tokens for once you're getting listed in the market, whether it's DEX or centralized exchange. You need to create that kind of excitement from the community creating that kind of like organic like buying pressure from the market. So your token price will still sustain at a certain level that still keep your community excited and all the partnerships or like VC in order to help you further on actually the strategic business developments. So I think that for the next coming like 1 to 2 years, we will probably still see some kind of like the token will still be moving in a more like speculative form, but I think new narrative will still be there, but the actual utility, whether like token will be used inside of apps, I think it still takes some time for the users to seeing that transition in the user behavior. Because most of the time, when there's any kind of like the yield token for any kind of like application, it could be gaming, it could be like DeFi. The first moment that a lot of community getting is probably they wouldn't be choosing to stake because they feel like staking sometimes it doesn't guarantee you a better reward. But sometimes you get the tokens, let's say yield token, and then you dump right away. So I think that most of the token model that we see so far it's still like hard to see a very sustainable way unless you are doing a lot of like speculation, marketing, partnerships, cross project like airdrops. At the end of the day, it's still like related to like the yield farmings and managing like community expectation about like what's coming next. That will be exciting the market, making your like token prices actually sustainable. So I think that the next coming 1 to 2 years is still about the speculations instead of the actual adoption. But at least this is a natural process for any kind of like new technologies onboarding, like enter into the mass adoptions in the future.
Yeah, for me, I think I think Wall Street is coming massively in 2025 with Trump now being in the House. I think U.S. is going to become the center of crypto again, and this real money is going to come into crypto. I'm really excited about that. And the U.S. is going to show the example, and everybody's going to follow. And Europe and Asia is going to be massively FOMOed in. I think we're going to see a lot more financial institutions adopt to start offering Bitcoin, Ethereum, ETFs, start offering custodies, start thinking about how they integrate at least Bitcoin, Ethereum into their asset management product offerings. And also, I think 2024 depends on whether we're going to have a bigger conflict globally. If we have more conflicts, I think crypto will get adopted even faster. Developing countries, like the inflation is massive, and if they're sanctioned, all of these unfortunate geopolitical crises, if they're intensified next year, we're going to see them moving into crypto even faster.
I mean, you asked about spicy take in consumer. So I think that as a result, in consumer, the valuations are smaller. And typically the best protocols out there are the ones that raise at like, I don't know, 10, 20 mil valuations. So my spicy take is that I think that return multiples that will be done in the next, I don't know, a year or two will be a lot higher in consumer rather than in infra. And you'll see lots of new VCs popping up that have really hit a couple protocols super well and have done well on the consumer side. And small VCs that will be able, or VCs that either are able to incubate or have a venture builder or put smaller checks will be able to outperform the big VCs that can only do $5-10 million checks because of consumer and because of the asymmetric nature of the valuation in consumer. And I think this will kickstart when Pump Fund launches, and will be soonish.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Really enjoyed the insights, and you can chat with us if you want to learn more about consumer applications. Thank you.
Thank you very much for engaging and insightful discussions on what will take